Welcome back to the Hills Property Panel. For those new viewers, the video series is put together to assist you make informed decisions about the property market. We'll look at the regional and city-based influences and come back to what's happening in the Hills District. We've got guests of economists or mortgage brokers, conveyancers and auctioneers from around the area. Welcome to the panel, Stu Benson, Benson Auctions.
Good morning, and thanks for having me again.
And Lauren Ingall from Aurora Conveyancing.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Stu, number one auctioneer for the Hills District.
Number one and number two.
Number one and number two. Yep. I don't know how that works.
The audience
Maybe we
will
should
love
just
that,
put a badge on you saying number one and we can skip the number one every week.
Just ask me, yeah.
Just ask you. So on the front lawns every week, probably selling properties most day of the week.
Yep.
Just wondering what's important to know over the last 2 weeks with the updates. We've had some changes in government and some things on people's minds.
Yeah, look, no doubt about it. There was a little bit of a holdback in the weeks leading into the election with people worried about different policies depending on who would be in power, and also interest rate rises as well, which we can't help but avoid. There's that white noise in the media at the moment, and that's been on the tip of a lot of people's tongue as well. What I can say over the last 2 weeks, clearance rate here in the Hills District has just slightly swung up a little bit, as I believe that buyers are a little bit concerned that the longer they wait, they might miss what is the bottom of this new market. Nobody wants to miss the bottom. It's one of those things that you find out in hindsight. You look back in September and you say, well, the bottom was in June and I missed it. Nobody wants to miss the bottom. And so we've seen the clearance rate tick up the last couple of weeks, and I think there's a bit of sentiment out there that now's as good a time to buy as any, and for that reason the clearance rate's been great. When it comes to Château, numbers in terms of your inquiry level, what are you experiencing?
The inquiry levels have been high and lots of people visiting the display suite.
Okay.
But we also go through that process. We might meet with the people for hours at the display suite and go through their requirements.
Right.
Go through the floor plans, and then we'll flush out and come to a conclusion that maybe there's 2 or 3 designs that suit them and that they want to move forward with. It's something that always comes about at the end of that discussion. A lot of people haven't bought off the plan. So then they'll say, well, what's next? And that's where we have to figure out, well, the timing of the projects and then where it fits into their circumstances, so you can marry all those things together as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots to take into account after we've gone through the consulting phase as well. It goes into that next kind of purchasing phase. What is next?
Okay, well, I guess one of the critical parts of that whole process is to making sure that you're being guided by experts in their field, and a great segue to experts in their field, particularly here in the Hills District when it comes to unrivaled experience, is Aurora Conveyancing. So, Lauren, I guess for those watching, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and the journey of the business, and then maybe just explain the benefits of why a purchaser needs to make sure they've got the best representation.
Absolutely, thank you, Stu. My journey started off when I was a little 16-year-old girl as a junior in the law firms working for A.B. Jennings in-house. So my experience with Off the Plan is unrivaled. I have done that, and with my 2IC, we've got our extensive experience of over 60 years in Off the Plan combined between the two of us. It's our second nature, it's our passion, it's what we love. We love being able to help somebody get from that formative stage that, where they come into the display suites and see these gorgeous properties, all the way through until they're moving into this, amazing experience. We've worked for most of the major law firms, large developers, and we help a lot of people in Off the Plan, both land and apartments. And so I am able to break down what can sometimes be a 2,000-page document down to a 2-page or 3-page explanation, written explanation that they can rely on, and also a conversation and a meeting with me to make sure that they really understand the process, the experience, and what they're going to get. Because, there's fear-mongering out there. There's people out there that don't understand the process. It's fairly new out here, but it's not new to me.
Do you give the summary to the purchasers? Do you go through a summary of the contract?
Absolutely.
Okay, but you don't just give them a call and say, oh, the contract's great, the contract's fine.
Trust me. Yeah.
It's fine. It's
So
no
that-
problems at all.
So you go through the 500 odd pages and then you'll give them a summary of some of the key points.
Yeah, absolutely. I read every single page and I break that down into a summary in plain English, in language that people can not only rely on, but can comfort them as well. They know exactly what they're going to be getting. They can hang on to that document and we go through it. We'll have Zoom meetings, phone meetings, or in our office meetings. We're located just at Norwest, so not too far away. And it's that cooling off period, that middle process, before they enter into a contract. My job is to make them comfortable and know exactly what they're getting.
Yeah, the process would be you make a reservation, a refundable reservation, and then we'll note down the contract details and of course hand it over to you, Lauren, to go through with the client as well. So we've got that reservation and the cooling off period of what?
14
days.
for
Yeah,
your
14
clients.
days.
Absolutely.
And then we'll go from there into an exchange period. The exchange period is typically digital now, isn't it?
We're able to sign those contracts digitally. We act for clients all around the world. So, you know, that's where the Zoom and the DocuSign and all of those great things come into
But
play.
they could visit your office if they did want to.
Absolutely, always
sign.
welcome.
Okay, so Zoom meetings, digital contracts, but they can still go in and sign
Absolutely,
as well. Yeah.
absolutely.
So we've gone through the reservation, the cooling off period, and we've got to the exchange, where you're doing the digital or visiting Lauren and the team in the office. And then we're coming right through that phase of the exchange means the price is locked in for you.
Absolutely. That's our binding contract.
That's it, right through to settlement.
Absolutely. Doesn't matter what happens. The contract is binding.
Yeah.
Purchaser's getting exactly what they paid for. And yeah,
Okay.
all the way through to settlement.
We go through to settlement, coming back to Château, construction due to complete of July of next year. And what typically happens at settlement, the people are getting themselves ready to move in, or receive the keys. But how does it look from the legal side as well?
Absolutely. So coming up to the settlement, so there'll be two parts for when the construction of Château is finished. We've got our registration of the plan. And again, that's our legal responsibility to check that, of course, everything's exactly as it was in the initial contract, and the occupation certificate, so that we can say to our purchasers without a doubt that this building is it's perfect, it's fit for occupation, it's ready to go. They will do their walkthroughs with you, and we will take care of settlement. Again, everything's electronic now since the recent legal mandates, and make sure that they get their keys on that day.
Not bad. Well, thank you very much for the explanation, Lauren.
Thank
and
you.
it is important for those of you who are considering a property purchase, and particularly if we are talking to Scott and the team at Château, that all of these things that you don't ordinarily do as a mum, a dad, an investor, an upsizer, a downsizer, you want to engage an expert in their field. And Lauren and the team at Aurora are certainly going to make sure that from that initial conversation all the way to getting your keys and walking through the front door of your new apartment, that you are being looked after the whole way. So Scott, it's a great partnership, and it's really going to make sure that anybody purchasing in Château is going to have their hand held by experts along the way.
Yeah, all through the procedure. But what comes to mind also, Stu, whilst we're here, is what's the forecast for auction bookings? And that gives a sentiment to the confidence of the vendors or the sellers out there as well. Are you seeing the lead times come in for 3-week auctions? Because sometimes the market switches 3 weeks, 4 weeks to auctions. Yeah.
Yep.
What's happening with that sentiment?
Look, it's a little bit interesting at the moment. There are fewer people coming to market at the moment because they're just waiting to see again what the political landscape might do in terms of different rebates and different structures to do with housing. So there are a few people sitting back, and that then causes a shortage of stock, because we're kind of just dealing with the listings that we've currently got on the market and nothing new's popping on. So the buyers are currently having to transact with the ones that are on the market rather than the ones that they think are going to come on. So I think that's got a little bit to do with that upswing that I mentioned before with the clearance rates rising. Consumer confidence here in the Northwest is generally running fairly high. I wouldn't say red hot like we've seen, but still definitely warm to high. And again, it's just got to do with this changing landscape that we're experiencing. We're going to be so much closer to what will be a second airport here in Sydney. We've got the metro line that is going to take us to Norwest Business Park, into Chatswood, straight into Barangaroo, and straight into Martin Place once phase 2 is complete.
That's right.
And it's that accessibility and that push through here in the Northwest corridor that I think always has and always will underpin the value here in the Northwest.
There's always a reason for people moving or selling or upsizing and downsizing, and sometimes their timing is dictated by their circumstances,
Sure.
and they're not necessarily waiting for the market to play into their
No.
their whole
That's right.
scope of what they think is going to happen.
Correct. There are plenty of people that all of those things that I just mentioned, it matters not. They have to move, they have to downsize, they want to upgrade, they've been waiting for 10 years,
Yeah.
and now's the time. And regardless of who's in charge of the country, what policies they have in play, or what the
Absolutely.
bank's going to do, they need to move forward with their plan.
Now's
And
the
for
time.
that reason, when's the best time to buy real estate or to invest? It's today. If today works for you, it's today.
Yeah, thanks for coming in, Lauren.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, look forward to working with you. Aurora
Absolutely.
Conveyancing. Thanks again, Stu.
Not a problem at all. We'll see you on the next update.
Thank you.